We could have everybody come in and be seated or find a comfortable place to stand. We'll get going. We have quite an afternoon in store for you. Welcome to the opening of the Pepsi Unlimited Sports Lab here in the College of Journalism and Mass Communications. We're delighted that so many of you have taken a chunk out of your Thursday afternoon to be here with us. I'm Rick Alloway. I'm an associate professor in broadcasting here in the college and also the general manager for 90.3 KRNU and our companion web streams that benefit a lot from the sports students that work out of this room doing play-by-play. You're going to be hearing from some of them throughout the afternoon, as well as from a number of our faculty who are involved in this process as well. We're really excited. We've got a lot to share with you about this experimental space and how it's going to benefit students throughout our college in sports media and communications and also in our experience lab program. So to start things off, I'd like to introduce to you Sherry Vail, who's the Dean of the College of Journalism and Mass Communications, who will talk to you more about how this space supports all of our experiential learning. Dean Vail.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you all for coming today in our official unveiling of the Pepsi Unlimited Sports Lab. I get a hard time from the Dean of the College of Education, Sherry Jones. She jokes with me, so what are you opening up this week? What are you cutting the ribbon on this week? And we have been doing that quite a bit in the college. This last year, we opened up the agency, which is 13,000 square feet over on the third floor of the Lincoln Children's Museum, dedicated to hands-on experiential learning for advertising and PR students. We also, of course, just down the hall here, in November, cut the ribbon on the Don and Lorena Meyer studio, providing hands-on experiential learning opportunities for students in Nebraska News Service and Nebraska Nightly. We erected a brand new tower and antenna for KRNU, and hopefully we'll be doing some upgrades to equipment in that space. We also, just this last weekend, had our first big event over in the Perry Photo Studio and Classroom. And now this space here takes us one step closer to being the national leader in experiential education in journalism and mass communications. Now we have students who are coming in right now who learn a little differently than maybe we all did, right? Education before, you sit, you listen to a lecture, you're told how to do it, and then maybe a few years down the road, you'll actually use that stuff. It's not how Gen Z learns. It's not how we're going to be able to recruit the next generation of students coming through. We've done research and looking at how students learn today. And a lot of it is just-in-time learning. They want to know how to use something when they need that. So that's how we've switched some of our education programs, launching the Experience Lab, providing students with that hands-on experiential learning from day one, so that they learn the tools, they get to know the equipment when they need it, and then they can build their skills as they build their understanding of the industry. This space here came out of a conversation about sports and education. So I was at the University of Oklahoma versus the Huskers game in Norman, Oklahoma, happened to sit down at a table with Kirk Anderson from PepsiCo Lincoln and started talking about what we do here, what we're trying to build. And from that conversation, eventually came this space. So a little bit later, we're gonna have folks from Pepsi come up and talk about why they're investing in education, why they decided to support this space, and the underwriting of our game day calling on KRNU. And a little later today, we'll also have Amon come up and talk about the next space we're planning to open. So more to come today. I just want to thank you all for coming and really appreciate you being here to see what we're building.
Thank you, Dean Vail. The Pepsi Unlimited Sports Lab is already providing opportunities for students in all of our majors, but specifically our sports media and communication majors to gain knowledge. And as she mentioned, that all-important hands-on experiential learning. And as she mentioned, this space would not be possible without the very active support of PepsiCo of Lincoln. At this point, we'd like to invite Kevin Lambert and Kirk Anderson from Lynn Pepco up front to talk to us about this space. Gentlemen, thank you both for being here and for all your support.
How's everybody doing? I'm Kirk, the CEO of Lynn Pepco, and how's this for product placement, right? I can't drink it like this, but I can show you the label. So anyway, yes, I want to thank Dean Vale for her unbelievable vision. She had the guts to sit down with 4 motley crew-looking guys before a football game down in Norman. Not last fall, but I guess really the fall before. So thanks for doing that. Just a little bit about our company. I'm the CEO of Lynn Pepco, and Lynn Pepco is a privately owned independent franchise that runs 5 Pepsi Cola franchises in the Midwest, including Lincoln. So we are local, we're invested in the community, and so I think that sometimes we get confused with big PepsiCo. While we're aligned with PepsiCo, we really are local and make decisions locally. So I think if you go back and you look at the history of the relationship with the University of Nebraska, we're in our 26th year, so this is nothing new for us. In 1997, in the original agreement, PepsiCo gave $17 million to start the Pepsi Quasi-Endowment. And if you're aware of the UCare program, the University of Nebraska, still in place today, that endowment supports the UCare. So investment in academics is something that we've been really part of, since the very beginning. And so this is really an extension of that. So yes, student experience is important. Athletics, we've got a great relationship with athletics, but student academics is really a great university needs great academics, and it's great for the community of which we operate in. So anyway, so thank you for your time. And I also want to call out Olivia Monroe, right here in the middle. You can raise your hand, Olivia. Olivia is responsible for all of the graphics in here. So this was kind of her doing her baby. This is really, if you look at this here, this would be the side of a semi-truck. So this is what would go on our delivery trucks, and we thought it worked perfect for this, and Olivia was kind of the genesis behind that. So I'm going to turn it over to Kevin Lambert, our general manager for Lincoln, Hastings, and our UNL operation.
Okay, thank you, Kirk. So I think that was awesome. Now you understand a little bit about our company. I just want to take a few minutes. There is some side bets that I can do this in 60 seconds because I'm a chatter. So here we go. So I have my bullet points right here. So first of all, thank you for giving us a few moments to talk about this partnership. When we met Dr. Vale at the Oklahoma game, something that was immediately pressed upon me as well as Kirk was just her passion, right, for the project, the passion for the college, what she's trying to do. You really felt like there was a vision there, and that was infectious. So as I think about that, and I think, okay, if we're going to take our time and resources and invest and collaborate with someone, where are some synergies at, right? So I thought about that over the next couple weeks. Kirk and I talked about it. So I just want to tell you a couple synergies that came out of this. So when we look at our company, our core focus is delivering refreshment and fun, right, with national brands, but we're a local partner, right? So this collaboration allows us to take our national brand and localize it, right? So that made a lot of sense. Secondly, when you think about Pepsi, you think about sports marketing, right? It's a pillar of the brand, and the fact that this space, right, specializes in sports broadcasting makes a lot of sense. I think of our brands and how they're enjoyed in every corner of the community, right? We were standing there watching some commercials during the game, and we saw a Mountain Dew commercial, and then we saw a Pizza Hut commercial, and our brands were part of that commercial, right? So we truly are in every corner of the community. And then I think what's going to happen in this room, right? The students that are going to have the experience of utilizing this space hopefully will touch members of the community, right? So there's some synergies there. And then lastly, we're really, really, really proud of our brands, our company, and our people at Lynn Pepco. And I hope as students utilize this space, there's a little bit of what we call Pepsi pride as they work in here. So thank you for the opportunity and the partnership, and we're honored to be a part of this. Was I over 60 seconds?
We timed it out. The bets will be paid off later on, so that was very well done. Thanks, Kevin and Kirk, and thank you for all your support and your company's support of what we do here. Obviously, the energy and the synergy is is seen throughout our college from Dean Vale on down, and also through our corporate partnerships, and we appreciate that. Somebody else who always has a lot of energy is our next speaker, my friend and colleague, John Schrader. John and I go back to when we were undergrads here and called ball games together on the cable TV system back in the day, back in the 19... And we've been good friends ever since. When we created the Sports Media and Communication program and we were looking for folks that we hoped would apply to come run the program, this guy was the #1 on our list. And we're fortunate that he said yes and came back from the West Coast and has been leading our program ever since as the leader of the Sports Media and Communication faculty and also the liaison with the Unlimited Sports program. John Schrader.
Thank you. Thanks, Rick. Appreciate it. For those of you young enough to understand this, we don't have time to explain to you what cable is, okay? But we could at some point. Thanks, Rick. Yeah, we've known each other for half a century-ish. So I want to say that this is a remarkable moment in this room. It's the first time I've been in this room, either in the lab or as the instructor, with 6 sports events on television on the wall and not one person is watching them. So thank you for that. Thank you. I did write some remarks here too, because there's some things I want to make sure I cover. Thank you, Dean Vale, very much for driving the driving force behind so many exciting things that are going on in this college. Thank you, Kirk and Kevin, for your your important part in what we do here. 6 years ago, as Rick said, this college unveiled the Sports Media and Communication program in the works with Rick and Jerry Renault and Frauke Hochman and other folks, athletic department, business college. And they envisioned this not as a journalism program, not as a broadcasting program, not as an ad PR program or a promotion program or a data analysis program. They envisioned this, that it would do all of those things. That all of the things that make us successful in the world of media in the 21st century are needed in the hands of all of our students. So that's one of the things that has sort of separated us from the sports programs all over the country, is that we make sure our students understand every piece of, we believe, in a business, as you all know, that moves faster than Trey Palmer in the combine, okay? It moves that fast. Thank you for understanding that reference. I'm not a real big fan of the combine, but thank you for knowing what that was, right? We expect our students in this college, everyone, to write, of course, and to create content, and to do analysis, and to understand strategy and learn strategy and all the various things we do. And we expect them to sort of jump into the deep end of the pool right away. And so we don't really push them into the deep end of the pool, but maybe they feel like that's what we do. The experience lab, come in, do from day one. Come in here and test it out. We're not going to let you fail. We're not going to let you flail in the deep end of the pool. We're going to be there to help you, but we want you to experience all the exciting things that we do and the exciting things that we're a part of. So this space right here is part of that. And then some. This space holds classes. We have labs in here. And when I was in college, one of the reasons I got into journalism, I was so bad at math and science, so I had to do something that I could write. So our laboratory, is we sort of say it's a petri dish, and it sort of is, because we're experimenting, we're taking risks, we're trying things. Does it always work? No. But we haven't blown the lab up yet. So that's one of the things that's an advantage over chemistry, right? Chemistry tries stuff, it doesn't always work, but sometimes they blow the lab up. We haven't done that yet, so that's the best part about this. But we use this for not only classes and for labs, but for brainstorming and for collaboration, where teams of students can work on their projects together. The door is always open. Most of them, we have very intelligent students here, so I'm sure all of them know how to turn the televisions on by now, and hopefully they know how to turn them off by now, and one hopes they do. I'm sure our electric bill would appreciate that. But we do an awful lot of stuff in here, from writing to broadcasting to collaboration, working on podcasts. We can do live television. We can do live streaming. We can do live radio. We can do anything we need to present content in the 21st century in this room right here. And that's nice. So We do it, creativity and innovation, of course, are very important parts of this business. This is a sort of physical place, physical space that represents kind of what we stand for, and that is that collaboration, that innovation, that moving forward. And we appreciate the role that you folks at Pepsi have played in helping us develop this new generation of media. We're very proud of this college. Rick mentioned we went to school here many years ago, not in this college, not in this building, over in Avery in the School of Journalism, but we're very proud. This community, this country is full of people who have been educated by the good people in this college, some of whom are here back visiting us. And so we've always been proud of that, and we're especially proud of where we're going in an industry that's driven by technology. We're in an industry that has always been driven by technology and innovation. Back to the days of the Gutenberg press, back to television, before that radio, before that newspaper press improvement. We're always driven by technology, and it moves so fast that it's incredible. So we believe we're on the right track in all of those areas, and teaching the standards, the business practices, the ethics that are expected of young people who are going into this industry that gets a lot of attention and is certainly in the microscope a lot. And an industry that is regularly disrupted by technology and moved by innovation. And we think this is just one area, one really special area that spotlights those important and interesting things we do. So thanks again to Pepsi, thanks again to all of you who are here, and thanks to the stakeholders, and every single person in this room is a stakeholder in the success of our students. So thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you, John. John mentioned how innovation and technology are constantly changing, and that was a really great setup for our next group of speakers, because we want to talk about the uses of data visualization and data journalism and telling stories, not just in journalism, but in sports and in all the areas that we cover. Matt Waite is a professor of practice in journalism and the sports media and communication area of data journalism. He joins us today with a couple of his students, sports media and communications major Emma Pruitt, senior sports media and communication and advertising and public relations double major Reagan Vaccaro, are here to give us some examples of how they use data to tell stories in sports journalism.
So I honestly never thought I would end up here and doing a sports class and having fun doing it. I was asked when they created the major to just create a syllabus for a data class, and we'll worry about later who's going to teach it. And I knew that was a lie. But I didn't expect to have this much fun, and I didn't expect so many students to have so much fun with it, that not only did we have to create a sports data class, we had to create an advanced version of that sports data class, which these two insane people have decided to join me on. What the advanced sports class does is I'm teaching them just enough machine learning to be dangerous. And what we're doing now is using machine learning and sports data to fill out our NCAA tournament brackets with data. And so I have their Big Ten tournament brackets and my own. I'm going to start by just saying mine is a disaster. I am 0 for the Big Ten tournament right now. Reagan?
Got one.
Amy? 3. She's leading the class right now. So we have a little bit of fun. We set up a competition. Everybody's going to fill out a big tournament bracket here this Sunday when they announce the games. They've all got models. Reagan, what is your model use to try to predict this thing?
So I'm using effective field goal percentage, and then turnover percentage, and then offensive and defensive rebounds. So I've got like 4 metrics in there trying to figure out if those are the best way to predict the winner of a basketball game. So far, not so good, but we can fix that for the NCAA bracket.
So in my model, I'm using 3 different metrics of points per possession, bench points, and then fouls. I thought I was going to have the worst bracket in the class, but somehow I'm leading. And I had to text Matt last night at 11 o'clock telling him that I was 2-0. So I was very excited about that. But and then Michigan lost. And I had them winning my bracket, but we're still 3-4, so that's good.
So, yeah, there's several other folks in the room here. Why'd I just totally blank? Jacob and Lucas, thank you. Molly's in the back there. God, I'm so sorry. I'm going to find you later and apologize profusely. It's a problem standing up here. Molly's in the back there. There's a few others. Ask them how their brackets are doing already. All of them will be like, no, don't ask me that. I don't want to talk about it. But that's the fun. It gets us an opportunity to talk about data, to talk about things in a way that everybody understands. It gives us the ability to ask big questions like, what makes something good? How do you determine that? How do you determine that in advance? And then we get to talk about probabilistic outcomes. All of our models, with the exception I think 3 people in the class, had Nebraska beating Minnesota last night. Guess what? Didn't turn out that way. My model said they had a 70% chance of winning. But what does that mean? 3 times out of 10 they don't. And here we are, unfortunately. So that's the fun we have in the class. It's a great time. I love being around these students and having a great time. So,
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Machine learning is everywhere. I will say, though, there is no truth to the fact that my script this afternoon was written by ChatGPT. We are not going that direction. Mr. Matt actually came in and did a demonstration at our faculty meeting of the limitations of that machine learning program that had you being, how old did it say you were in your obituary? You had to put.
I wrote my obituary. I was 58.
58.
11 years more than I have actually been on the planet.
Missed it by that much.
Sprouted a PhD and a master's degree from an institution I've never been to. It also said I was a beloved member of the faculty, which, I mean, come on.
Close. But he introduced you to 2 really great students, and I think what you hear there in their biographies is how hard our students work, the number of them that are involved in multiple majors, multiple minors, and they are in many cases, they make us run as fast as we can to keep up with them, and that's one of the things we all like about teaching here. I want to introduce 3 more of them to you at this point to talk about their experiences calling games as part of the broadcast side of what we do here. John texted me a couple of nights ago and said he had heard from the BTN folks that were saying, your 2 announcers are just hitting it out of the park here tonight. And John, I know his reaction was to say, yeah, because that's what a lot of our folks have historically done. And those 2 folks are here this afternoon to share some of their thoughts with you about calling games on 90.3 KRNU and on BTN Plus. That would be Grant Hansen, a senior broadcasting, sports media and communication double major, Connor Clark, junior broadcasting, sports media communication double major, along with the aforementioned Molly Robinson, senior broadcasting and sports media and communication double major. Come on up and talk to us about some of your opportunities to call games and to get your name and your faces out there for folks.
Hi everyone, as Rick said, my name is Molly Robinson and I'm a senior from Huntsville, Alabama. So I'm one of the very far away out-of-state students, but I've definitely found my love here at Nebraska. And being a senior, you know, I graduate in May, I've really had a lot of time to reflect on my time at the College of Journalism, particularly with Unlimited Sports. And my first experience with Unlimited Sports was way back in the summer of 2020, which feels so long ago now, but we were all cooped up at home. And it was the summer after my freshman year, and I had applied for this random internship that I had found on the college's website called Unlimited Sports. I'll see what that's all about. And so luckily Schrader took a chance on me. I had turned in my rinky-dinky little reel and was part of the podcast group, which was incredible. I worked alongside Jeff Ekstrom, Jake Bartecki, who are both long graduated now. I think I'm still one of the only ones still a student here that was kind of a part of that original group. So that was really cool. And now seeing where Unlimited Sports is now has been really cool. And my experience with Unlimited Sports helped propel me out into the real world. I had the opportunity to be on KRNU sports staff, not only on sports staff, but also as a member of the assistant sports director, which was really amazing to be able to be part of my junior year. I've done a lot of BTN Plus broadcasts. I've had the opportunity to do sideline reporting with News Channel Nebraska. I've gotten to work with Big Ten Network on Big Ten Tailgate, and I got to work with Fox Sports this past summer with USFL in Birmingham. So ask me all of your USFL questions, because who doesn't love football, right? So, but yeah, so thank you to the College of Journalism for, everything that you guys do for all of us.
My name is Connor. Oh, wow. Sorry. I am a junior from Chicago. I'm also sports media broadcasting double major. And just to kind of go off of that, the experiences that we've been able to have, whether that's radio, TV, and then just kind of shoving ourselves out into the real world is extremely valuable. And that's something that in my almost 3 years here have really, learned a lot about, because obviously you can do a lot in the classroom, but then when you go out and you apply what you got in the classroom into the real world and into the industry, it ends up going a long way. And that's something that I try and take with every experience that I get, especially when it comes to what I want to do, which is specifically calling games. And John mentioned Big Ten Plus, and that's been a whole door that's been wide open to me since I got here, which I'm very thankful for. And it's been a very good opportunity because it's a very professionally run program, and you get all of the experiences, the bells and whistles of what an actual TV broadcast would look like. So you have producers in your ear, you have replays, you get asked, hey, do you want to mention this time at this time? Do you want to go on camera here? Do you not want to go on camera here? Just like all these different things that it's different from radio, and obviously KRNU is also just as good. So I think those experiences, kind of combined are really great, and that's a lot what this college has to offer here, and that's been really, really great for me. Just some other experiences too. I mean, outside of just the college too, there's a lot in Lincoln going on as well. I was the #2 broadcaster for the Lincoln Salt Dogs last year. I'll be doing that again this year. And then you also have, Husker basketball going on. I work for a radio station with Alpha Media, so that's been another avenue which I've been able to take. And a lot of it is the connections that you make here, because a lot of the people, quite frankly, that I work with at the Salt Dogs are either graduates of this college or currently go to this college. They all know one each other, and it's kind of funny when you get to networking and how many different people know the same people that you know. So I think that's just kind of a glimpse of what you get here, and it's been a really great time so far, and I'm excited to continue to do that going into my senior year. And a big thank you to everybody in this room that makes this happen, because this is really a great journalism school.
Let's see, how hot is, okay, not that hot. I am Grant Hansen. I'm a junior, technically, but I got another year left, so academically, it's messy. But I'm not going to really reiterate a lot of the things that Connor said, because we do a lot of the same things, but there are a couple of different things that I kind of want to hit on. The first being, I think, one of the most attractive things about this college when I was deciding whether or not I wanted to come here was the emphasis on doing multiple things, and how important it is that if you're doing broadcasting, you should also know how to write. And if you're a writer, you should also know how someone in the PR side of things thinks, right? And so those things are really important. And I think without that seed getting planted, I don't end up deciding last year to write for the DN. I stayed there at the DN for about 6 months, and then that turned into working with Husker Online, which is what I do now with baseball. So that's really important. I think the second thing I want to talk about that's, I think, different about this college is how accessible the faculty is and how helpful the faculty is. I think Bill's in the back there, but we worked in November and December for 2 or 3 hours, and I would just come in maybe for an hour at a time to walk through, hey, how can I refine my resume better? How can I fix my cover letter for these different things, right? And that's, Bill's not on the clock technically for that, right? So that's really helpful, right? One memory I had when I was even just sitting in the back of the room was, I think in June or July, I just texted John, and I was like, hey, I got an idea, can I get a quick call? And I called John, and I said, I talked to someone about my reel, and they said, you didn't have enough on-camera stuff, and, that's something you should look for, and that's something you should maybe highlight if you've got it. So I said, hey, we don't do a lot of, with the BTN Plus broadcast, we don't do a lot of on camera. We did some during COVID, but that was because we were in the Husker Vision studio and totally separated off, and can we do more of those? Sure enough, this year, by the time we were doing volleyball, and I'm assuming you had some hand in that. I don't know, I never asked. But by the time we were doing volleyball, they had setups for on-camera stuff, and we were doing pregame on-camera hits and just stuff like that, like really helpful experiential things. Since I write for baseball, I watch a lot of the other schools in the Big Ten, their BTN Plus broadcasts, and Nebraska is far and away the best. Nebraska's broadcast, Nebraska's production, from Husker Vision to the talent on down, it is almost on, I would say it's close to on par with BTN itself. And if you look at Indiana, if you look at Illinois, just to name a few from the years past, there's just not as much effort put into that, and it's a very, very different thing. So I think Nebraska's, as far as the TV streaming side of things and the opportunities it provides its students and its student camera workers, it is the best in the Big Ten Conference. So that's about all I got, I think.
Thank you all. We'll still, when the broadcast folks get, the first thing they ask is, how are my levels? So we got to get those right. And always a shout out to Jamie Wenz, who keeps those levels going well for us, our technical director, who makes sure that a lot of those kinds of things we want to set up and do on short notice in some cases for our students is accomplished. And that's sort of the attitude that we all have here, trying to get as many things going for the here and now as we can, but also with an eye to the future, as Dean Vale said in her opening remarks. And we are moving to the next big thing in the program as we try to stay cutting edge for our students as best we can. And it's one of the reasons why in January of 2022, the end of this last year into the beginning of this year, the college hired Amon Green to lead a campus-wide effort to bring esports to Nebraska. It's been there's been the roots of it have been going along for a long time, but we said we need to get this organized. And of course, everybody knows Amon as the former NFL running back, two-time Husker national football champ, transitioned from the world of professional football into the world of esports. And we're thrilled that he's here with us to help put the esports team together and with some big plans for the next big innovation on campus. So please welcome to the microphone, Amon Green.
Thank you, Rich. It's great to be here. It's great to be, back home in Lincoln, not far from my high school, Omaha Central. And it's been a long time. I've been, grinding to get here back on campus for another sport. But you know what? They want to ignore me. No problem. I'll find another way. That's what people from Nebraska do, right? We grind it out. That's what gamers do, right? We grind it out. We find out other ways to win games. So I'm super excited about being here on campus. I want to say thank you to Dean Sherry Vell for being the bulldog that she is. Everybody's telling me how aggressive she is, how when she wants something done, she gets it done. And a moment that me, Sherry, and Haley shared was when we were touring the Husker Tech area and where the facility is going to be, where I'm going to get to here in a minute. And I just started watching Haley's face. Every time Sherry would say something about, we want this here, we're going to tear this wall down, we're going to put an emergency exit there, and we're going to put computers here. And I just see Haley's face like, And I walk up to Haley and I'm like, you must be in charge of the money. She's like, yeah. I was like, okay, I see how this works. So I was like, I love the enthusiasm of everybody here on campus about what the esports program is going to be. I say for the students, they already been doing it. So people that are not here, Jade, who is the president of the esports club, Z, and Sam, who I was just with at Lincoln High School, doing some recruiting basically. They already been running a program for 3.5 years right now, and they've been doing a fantastic job. They play from their dorm rooms, they play on college Wi-Fi. A lot of them don't even, they're in their apartments or dorm rooms and they don't have Ethernet, and they're competing and they're doing a good job. So they have the enthusiasm. So now it's myself, Sherry, other faculty members in the building, Alan Eno, Ryan Tan, that's going to be here in the fall. We're the faculty to now bring it up online where everybody sees it and everybody can broadcast it and watch it And I say what been already talked about through some comments that John said is that, it's been done with traditional sports already. Now it's just do the same thing with esports. Let's have podcasts about it. Let's have events about it. We have an event coming up at the end of March as well. I think it's the Smash Brothers tournament or something like that. So Smash Brothers, Mario, and Luigi, and all them characters fighting. So if you didn't know that, that's what Smash is. So right now, with me leading the esports program, we offer scholarships. We're going to have the esports arena, like I mentioned, and we're going to have an undergrad certificate that enables students to learn and complete their study in the rapidly growing field, because the esports industry, or the video game world, video game industry, is $1 billion industry now. It's something where you have kids, young adults that could be a pro gamer, to a coach, to a popular streamer, to somebody that works the video camera or the audio engineer or the observer of a League of Legends game or match. Excuse me. So with that knowledge that is going to be discovered, because for as gamers we know that, but for everybody else they're learning that. And then once teachers, moms, dads, owners of companies understand all the job possibilities that are out there, then it becomes something that's really put up in I say in a good light. So with pursuing, so right now we're pursuing the funding for the esports facility. We have an area over in the student union that the facility is going to be. It's about 2,800 plus square feet, and it's right now it's an underutilized recreational area where county kids could go and lounge and chill. But right now that's going to be it's soon to be our space. Come late fall. So dedicated area for the varsity team, a competitive practice area, gaming PCs and console player, and then a retro area where it's going to hopefully have like Nintendos and Sega Genesis and stuff that was around when I was a kid, and kind of get away from it when you're having a tough practice or we just lost a tough match. We could go decompress playing some foosball or some air hockey or something like that. So the construction area right now, like I mentioned, still in planning. It's going to start right here after spring break. We'll have things like a nice little cover come down and let everybody know what's coming to the area. So right now the deadline, it might move a little bit, but right, looking at between August and September when we'll be opening up the area there. And to support the team, I say encourage. So right now what I'm doing is recruiting local high schools. Like I said, I was just at Lincoln High and plan to eventually get up to my high school, Omaha Central, who just started their esports program this year. And then with that, with recruiting in high schools, I can go and tell a high school kid or high school esports coach that we have 10 scholarships. Right now, they're partial scholarships, so $12,000 a year, $3,000 for the whole year, or for the whole year, spring and fall, being $1,500 per semester. We got like I mentioned, we have the undergraduate certificate. The certificate will open for students all across campus, not just like esports students or students here at the Journalist College. So it'll be, for everyone, so provide comprehensive education in the esports industry. Like I mentioned, all the jobs is probably at least, I say on the low end of 30 job opportunities in the industry. So right now, I say I'm very excited, looking forward to, what's coming down the line in terms of recruitment, in terms of the different, activations we can do, and stuff that I say kind of been hit on already, like I mentioned what Josh said. I know you made a comment about jumping off the deep end into the pool. I was that kid. I would run right to the deep end at the YMCA in Leimert Park, Los Angeles, and go right into the deep end because I knew how to swim. I've done this before at Lakeland University. I was a head coach of esports there for 3 years. First semester we won a national title in Madden. My last semester we won a divisional championship in Valorant. So it's something that I'm very passionate about. A lot of people don't get the opportunity to do multiple passions in a lifetime. One was football. I got the chance to do there for everybody in the room that watched me, play ball in Memorial Stadium. Y'all saw what I can do, with a football in my hand, and now sitting in this position as a coach, I've been able to do some great things at Lakeland. Now I'm planning to do some great things here in my hometown, my home state college, that right now I could pinch myself. It's a great feeling to be recruiting kids for Valorant, for League, and doing those type of things, and then letting everybody know, and the kids to see their faces where they realize this is actually a real thing. The kids here on campus and the high school kids that I'm going out and visiting already, they're like, oh wow, this is this is at Lincoln right over here? They're like, yeah, it's on campus right here. So again, thank you, Sherry, for bringing me in. I'm glad I'm here tonight to see some new faces here for this program. And John, or Rick, getting it back to you. Thank you, everyone, and hope everyone enjoy the rest of your night.
Thanks, Amon. We're glad you're here. And as you heard him say, even right just the moments before he got here to take part in this, he was at Lincoln High with some of our folks recruiting the next generation of folks to come in and do esports. So things are moving quickly. And a central theme throughout this, I just want to reiterate as we wrap up here, is Dean Vale. I have had a lot of great deans I've worked with. I think all of us have expressed similar attitudes at one time or another, but when you go to the dean and say, I've got this wild idea, she says, let's try it. Let's see if we can make it work. And that kind of enthusiasm and support is part of what makes this program what it is. And that support includes the good folks at Pepsi who have been here today to help us kick off this room, and all of you for being here this afternoon as well. If you couldn't tell already, if your nostrils haven't told you, we got great food right around the corner. But this communication time will continue for the next hour or so. We encourage you to visit with our guests who are here, to introduce yourselves, to enjoy some fine food around the corner, and some opportunities to talk more about all the cool things that are going on. Thank you all for being here this afternoon.